I am Milo, and I'm playing video games on the internet. There we go. So yeah, Game Boy Advance. Today I'm playing Jet Set Radio, but not the Dreamcast version. It's the GBA version. Now remember, graffiti is art. However, graffiti as an act of vandalism is a crime, and you shouldn't do crimes because they are illegal and often unethical as well. Oh, is it not working again? Hang on a sec. Yeah, okay, audio is fine. Had a bit of an audio issue before I started, but yeah, we're all here now, we're all going good, so welcome. Now, yes, this is the version of Jet Set Radio that they put out on the Game Boy Advance to accompany the main console release. And, well, I say accompany, it was actually a few years afterwards, but this is sort of a policy that Sega was doing at the time of making handheld versions of their console games. Although they didn't make it, they they would often farm it out, obviously. So this is by Vicarious Visions, and they based it on the engine of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games that they'd been putting out on the Game Boy Advance. But I'll talk about all that later. Let's get into the game, I guess. So I am playing the European version, which has the real name of the game, Jet Set Radio. The North American release had to change the name at the very last minute before release to Jet Grind Radio, which is not really as good a name at all. But yeah, this is a game that I've played before. Sorry, I'm getting confused with the buttons. B and A are sort of reversed for certain functions, which throws me off a bit. But anyway, I've played this game a long time ago. It was one of my very first streams, but I didn't record the stream, so I've decided to revisit it now that it's sort of relevant to other things going on in my life. Yes. Okay, that looks fine. But yes, what are we doing? So this is the GG's Garage. You can change the graffiti styles that you have here. What's going on? Okay, so these are the ones I've picked, I guess, but you can swap them around. Yeah, this is a game where you're a street punk, and it's very stylish. You can make custom things. Apparently the editor in this GBA version is actually a lot more robust than the paint editor in the original incarnation of the game. Okay, well, let's play a bit of it, I guess. Hit the streets. So yeah, this is a completed save file that I sort of played through on my own time a few years back after I'd streamed it. So I've worked out all the kinks. I know what's going on in the game, unlike during the first stream, which was blind, as I usually do. Why can't I go to Grind City? I can. Good. So yeah, we started in Shibuya, I guess. And I should have all the characters unlocked, or at least the main story ones. Yeah, some of them have different names actually, which sometimes are their Japanese names. Or maybe Sugar is her name, I forget. I think of her as Boogie because that's the equivalent character in Jet Set Radio Future, the sequel. Anyway, he was Tab originally, and Mew is now called Biss, which is her Japanese name. Actually, I like Biss's design a lot in this game, so I'll go with her to start with. GG's home turf, Shibuya-cho, was just attacked. Was it Poison Jam? They were talking about spreading out there. Or maybe it was the noise tanks. Actually, this is presumably DJ Professor K speaking, because he does these little intros to levels in the main game as his part of his like pirate radio show. So I'll try and do his voice. Or maybe it was the noise tanks trying to send a system crash through the whole city. Listen up, all you innocent fools out there. Officer Onishima has got some specially ordered Satsu bracelets all ready for you. I'm so bad at this. So get yourselves to the bathroom and brush those teeth, boys and girls, because a whole load of trouble is heading your way. Cool, dude. Alright, So yeah, in the original game, the setup is that you're put in these little playground areas and given a time limit, and in that time you have to do certain things like whether it's painting graffiti on stuff, and there's other objectives like getting score totals, which you can get by doing tricks. You get attacked by police sometimes. Yeah, you're playing as like a punk vandal, and as we saw, that Onishima is trying to crack down on youth activity in the streets. I like that. They took that voice sample of the professor saying Jet Set Radio and slowed it down so it went all deep. Yeah, so there's things about the momentum system that I didn't understand for most of the time that I played this game until like near the end of when I was going through it. So it's basically tank controls. You hold up to move forward. You can hold R to go faster as well, which it took me a while to figure out. And then you use the direction buttons to change your direction, not to move in absolute space. And that's right. And you really should strategically pick your graffiti targets so that you can get the first few unmolested, and then the police start arriving. Yes, but yeah, given say it looks pretty decent for a GBA game, and I agree. Like I said, it is based on the Tony Hawk's games. Tony Hawk games. Well, his name's Tony Hawk, but they have an apostrophe. It makes it hard to. Anyway, yeah, it's based on those, but they also kind of. Those were the police. You could hear that. They kind of tried a few things to make it appear cell shaded in the same way that the console game is properly cell shaded. Ugh. I do have rewind features available to me, but I'm going to avoid using them because that would interrupt the lovely music, which is one of the strengths of the game in general, really. Of course, in the GBA version, it's been converted to pretty short samples, between 30 and 45 seconds, I read. And I do have all this soundtrack in my library. I'm a big fan of the games in the series and their soundtracks, and it's really great stuff. Yeah, if you mess up, you get a chance to do an easier one, but you get lower points for it. There you go. They took out all that minigame button prompt thing in the sequel Future, and I was very grateful for that because it's kind of tedious, especially after you've been doing it all game long. Okay, so now there's even more police, and there's Onishima himself, who is a ridiculous cartoon character with a big pompadour and waving a gun around all the time. They replaced him in the sequel with, what was his name again? I just looked it up before, but yeah, whatever. Anyway, the police chief in the second one is a little scarier and unhinged. Oh yeah, I've only got 20 paint cans max. You get some different characters have different capacities. And you can knock these guys down if you're going fast enough, I think. They don't seem to be too interested in me, I guess. Now, I need to find some more. Okay, that's probably the last one I need to do. So it's a bit tricky. There might be more on the buses. Yeah, so I took a bit of damage there. If you grind that sign, you can do wall rides and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm going to talk about Future a lot, the sequel, as I play this, because it's what I actually grew up with, and I only experienced the original game through revisiting it later on. Actually, I only played it for the first time when they did the HD re-release on the PS3. It was also on 360, Steam. You could play it on the Vita. It was also available on iOS and Android, although those versions have since been delisted. But I still recommend checking it out. It's just really unfortunate that the much better game, Jet Set Radio Future, the sequel, hasn't been re-released at all. Anyway, okay, let's try this. Oops, I got on the wrong one, and I can't make that jump quite. Maybe with a bit of a dash I could have. Yeah, it often devolves into this, just trying the same thing over and over to get to a certain point. Because the levels in this game are very task oriented, and yeah, the design's a bit more open in Future, which is one of the things I like about it. Alright, this is not working. I'm going to try from the other direction. That was much easier. Also, the cops are milling around over there. Ah! There we go. That's what it should look like. Alright, now, I think there might be another one on the buses over here. Now, I am playing from a completed save file, but selecting each mission from the map like I did before will take me to like the same iteration of the mission as if I was playing a story. So there's no difference there. Oh boy. Yeah, he's shooting me while I'm trying to do this. So there's red paint cans which refill your health. Yellow will give you 1 paint unit, and blue will give you 5. But the red ones is what you need for your health, which I should probably look for. Unless I can just quickly do this while no one's looking. Oh, he's coming. This is the last one. Yeah, okay, we made it. Woo! My rank was engine, which is not bad actually. The Ronin of the radio, cutting rhymes with flair. Got the spirit inside me. You're choking on my flow while eating your sushi, and I'm spilling mad wasabi on the microphone. It feels like these lines are taken from the console game. In which case you'd have a much more charismatic person reading them to you than me. But yeah, like I said, we have all the characters unlocked. Yeah, so each level will take place in the same area. And the areas are fairly small in this game compared to... Yeah, they've been cut down from the console version, obviously. So let's do a love chat. So these are like battles against rival gangs. And I'll see what other characters we've got. Cube is cool, I like her a lot. Cube and Combo, they were added to the international release of the original game as like people from America who are contacting you, and then there's a couple of levels set in America. All that content was ported back into the original game with an enhanced re-release called Data Jet Set Radio, which like stands for Deluxe. Who have we got? Soda. Oh, that's a changed name as well. He's called Slate in other versions of the game. Gum is sort of the deuteragonist, kinda. Like, you start as Beat, but Gum is the first person you meet, and Gum gets a lot of attention in the promo material. You can see on the right, actually, that's the box art, or a sliver of the box art, because the GBA screen takes up most of the viewing space there. But that's the box art for the Della re-release version of the Dreamcast original, and Gum is the poster character there. Sorry, I've got a throat tickle today. I've been coughing a lot. And yeah, Gum's also almost as regular and appear in spin-offs like the Sonic and All-Stars Racing and all that, but I'll talk about that later too. So Yo-Yo, Garam, and that is the hidden character. So this is a unique feature for this game. You actually get to play as Professor K after beating the story mode. It unlocks him, so that's pretty cool. I think I'll give him a try, because like after unlocking him, I was basically finished with the game when I was playing it before, so I really haven't tried him out too much. But yeah, that's just a cool thing they added to this game. So this isn't in any other version. They didn't add him to the HD release or anything like that. Those cats who ransacked Shibuya Cho turned out to be the love shockers. Love broke their hearts, and now they're looking to do some breaking of their own. You know, someone somewhere is crying with a uki uki waku waku feeling. Can the GGs save Shibuya Cho from the trap of love, or is it too late? Yeah, so his hair is pretty crazy. It's really a novelty getting to play as him, honestly. Oh, this is actually a different level. Yeah, okay. So not all of them take place in the same area. I guess I forgot about this one. Yeah, this is an area that has the playground and this elevated under construction highway bit. So the weird thing about Professor K is that the other characters have like little voice clips of them going like ha, ooh, and stuff. But this guy, his only voice clip is him shouting out the title of the game, which he does, you know, the title screen and during radio broadcasts and stuff. So yeah, we'll be hearing that a lot as we play as him, I guess. Ah, messed that up. See, and when you mess it up, it shunts you over to an easier version of the button thingy. Yeah, and doing these with a D-pad is, you know, dumb. But it's fun. Yes, now I was doing that earlier anyway. Hey, brothers, what's up? Okay. So yeah, I guess a lot of the time in this game, the objective is graffitis, getting all the graffitis in the stage. So you do see a lot of these button prompts. Oh. Don't tell me I messed that up. Yeah, so every time he jumps off a trick like that, he's gonna yell out the title of the game. Which actually, I haven't tested because I played through this whole thing in the PAL version, like I said, the EU release. They do keep the Jet Grind Radio title for the North American release of the Game Boy Advance version as well. So I recall from starting up that there was a different voice clip on the title screen to match that. So it might be that that voice clip change is also reflected through all the gameplay with Professor K as well. But I don't know for sure. Ooh, I see a half pipe. I don't think I can get down there. That's an area on the console version, but I guess you can't do it on GBA. Yeah, so the isometric perspective is something I sometimes have problems with. It can be hard to distinguish between something that's close to you or far away, something that's like you know, on different vertical planes especially, which is a problem for games where you're moving in 3D space like this, especially the more ambitious they get with their level designs. But that's just a problem endemic to that style, and for the most part it doesn't throw you off too much in this. When I was jumping over those buildings before, I did get quite confused, which is something that will happen to you. Whether you've fallen in a gap or not, and where you are exactly. They do this dithering on your character model to show that you're behind something in the foreground. So there is that. Yes. Now luckily, Professor K here has some good stats. He's able to hold lots of paint cans and have lots of health. He's, I think, probably maxed out in most of his stats, which is good, because he's the the secret bonus character you get for finishing the game, basically. I always forget, in this version of the game, or you know, in the original game, you can't do tricks on command. You only, like, they'll trick on jumping as part of the jump, when you're, depending on, you know, if you're grinding and then you jump off, for example. Whereas in future, there's a trick button. You can trick while you're jumping and do multiple tricks in the air. You can trick while you're grinding. It builds up speed, and it also, you know, adjusts your position and stuff and gets you tons of points. You can build up a multiplier. All these things that I'm used to because I've played Future so much. They were innovations. They weren't in the original, which was much more straightforward and, like, not as good, basically, is what my ultimate judgment on it is. But lots of people like this game, but, you know, the sequel improves on it in so many ways, and a lot of people do acknowledge that. But I guess because, well, I mean, was the Dreamcast, like, more popular than the Xbox Zero, really? I don't know. But, like, the original game gets referenced a lot more than Future, that's for sure. And it got the HD remake. So, you can really sort of divide them because there's quite a difference in visual style between the two as well. Oopsie. Yeah, okay, so I've got to land on that girder and then grind off, jump to the next thing. I seem to have a lot of time, which is nice. I recall being strapped for time in certain missions while playing the console version. Yeah, if you do this little combo, it's pretty cool. And you get on here, try and build up a little bit of speed. There's, like, the only way to build up speed on a grind is to do a jump and then land for another grind. Which is troublesome, depending on how much space you have. Yeah, and there's some collectibles in the levels in the form of graffiti souls that unlock new kinds of graffiti for you to use. You can see one there, but because they're often just hanging in midair sort of thing, it's really hard to tell where exactly they are because of that perspective thing I was talking about with the isometric perspective. Like, it's the same size wherever it is in vertical space, so you don't really know where you have to jump to get it. So that's another way that it really trips you up. So I'm still missing one. It might be on the wall back on the other side of the highway here. What's interesting to me, since I played them in reverse, like I said, was seeing the ways in which locations and areas and gimmicks from this original, seeing how they were adapted and expanded upon in future is pretty interesting to me. Okay, so I think to get that graffiti soul, I have to grind up the crane. Oh, sometimes the graffiti target is painting over the posters of the Rokaku group, but not in this case, I guess. So it must be down there somewhere, but I want to try out this crane. It doesn't really matter if I finish the objectives or not, because like I said, I've done all this already. This is a completed save file. Not 100% though, I don't really know what I'm missing, if it tracks collectibles or something. Yeah, you grind up there, and oh, I guess if I jumped off the end I would have got the graffiti. Oh, is there more over here? Hard to say. Let's just check around this wall here. Just looking for that red arrow. And the Black Void, of course, popular feature of Tokyo. And the other thing about the isometric view is your targets are usually going to be on the upper left or upper right wall, because then you can see them. So that's a little clue for you. Yeah, it must be on that rooftop, which I am not going to get to in time. Oh, unless it's over here. Wait, I did that one. I did that. Oh, it's this sign over here. And that sign too. Okay, yeah, I missed them. Yeah, the dithering shading on the character if you're behind something. Lots of different games handle it differently, of course, but it works for this one. Oh yeah, right. So there are different objectives based on what you pick. So why don't we move on to a different thing? We'll go to Grind City next, actually, and do a jet technique, and that is, instead of painting over stuff, the idea is you're trying to, do tricks and stuff to get points. So we'll pick Gum, which is bad because she's got a high score of graffiti, but whatever, I want to be Gum right now, so that's what I'm doing. I didn't read what that said, so I had to get some points. I don't know, whatever. Doing tricks, especially in the original game, is not my favorite thing. Favorite objective to do. Finding the graffiti points and doing them is more of a task that I'm okay with, because it means you're going over the whole level, it's using the space, stuff, whatever. Oh, why, what? It never did this before. Okay, it's crashed on me. I'm gonna reset. That's pretty irritating, but that's okay. We've got that file. We can start again. It's cool. Don't worry about it. Yes. Okay. Now, on second thought, what I'm gonna do is pick one of the characters from Grind City, which is the US thing. Power, speed, graffiti. I like Cube. Oh, okay. That's, I guess an invisible wall or something. So yeah, it's interesting how it's a slightly different, it's an American style city compared to the Japanese style that the rest of the game has. Oh, people, hello. Yeah, you get out of the way. That girl is floating on midair. That's not healthy. Okay, so tricks. Let's get some points. Combo. Oh, yeah, that was a great combo. Yeah, so like I was saying, this game is based on Vicarious Vision's previous work on the Tony Hawk series. They were contracted to do, the GBA versions of all the games that came out, and there were a lot of Tony Hawk games. So the first 3 in the series got ported to Game Boy Color, or ported, but versions on Game Boy Color, which weren't like this at all. They were side-on, and they were made by other companies. Natsume did 2 of them apparently, and then another company did the 3rd one. But starting from 2, they also had Game Boy Advance versions, and Vicarious Visions did all the GBA versions up until that was phased out, and they started doing DS versions, and they made those too, although they did them in the full 3D behind the shoulder style. Yeah, this level I think is particularly bad with the isometric stuff, because you get quite high up and then you want to grind those power lines and rails and stuff, but yeah, getting on them when you can't tell if something is close to you or above you, it's tricky. Now, I did mention this being America as opposed to Japan, but they've used this model of a truck which obviously has kanji letters on it from the Japanese tile set or whatever. So that's fine, just asset saving. Okay, let's go up here. then... Okay, so it's on the corner there. So, yep, that should... Yep, okay. Yeah. Now, I'm sure there's ways to do tricks. Maybe. But I don't know what it is. There's no scan of the manual online. And there wasn't a dedicated trick button in the original release. So some of the things I just saw Beat doing in the demo, I don't know how to do them. So that's a problem for me. But oh well, that's another reason why I don't like technique challenges. Oh well. Oh, I just did like a turn thing. I don't know how I did that. Anyway, so Vicarious Visions, they did Tony Hawk 2, 3, 4, Tony Hawk's Underground. Yeah, Tony Hawk's Underground, Underground 2, and American Skateland. So what's that? 6 games, all in the GBA, using this kind of style. So that's pretty impressive. They got consistent work, good for them. Now I couldn't really tell, I read that Vicarious Visions at this time had 2 studios. One was based in New York and one was based in California. And what I read was that the California-based one did a lot of handheld stuff, but a lot of their output at this time was handheld stuff. So I don't know if both of them were doing handheld stuff at the time or if it was all the California one, but whatever the case, they had a lot of output in these days. Yeah, they made Crash Bandicoot games for Game Boy Advance as well. The lead programmer of this actually worked on the Crash Bandicoot Spyro crossover games, which I played recently in my own time. Well, I played the Spyro one anyway. I wasn't impressed by it, but that's fine. Like, it was a competently made game. It's just the design of it I didn't enjoy too much. So can I get into the skate park? I can. So yeah, it's not all rooftops. There's also a little skate park area here, which I recall from the console game. Although it's just quite simplified, of course. Now, the half pipe, the quarter pipe. There's got to be a way to do this. See, the reason that I always liked Jet Set Radio, especially Future, was not because it was a skating sim. It was because it was a fun, like, adventure action game with a unique movement style, and that is getting around by skating and grinding on stuff, and the sense of style that it has with its visual direction and the character animation, which includes them doing tricks, but just more for the style of it is what I appreciated, rather than pulling off sick tricks or whatever. So when I am asked in this case to do tricks to get points, that's not something I super care about. And I played the Tony Hawk games on the 64, probably the second and third one, I think. And doing trick chains in that was fun, but what I liked more was exploring the levels and finding the collectibles that were hidden in them. But the good thing is that those games supported both styles of play in a way. And so does this, whereas it's even more so on the adventure side for Future, which is why I like it even better, I guess. Yeah, the fact that every gameplay like avenue in this game is based on you having a timer and having these tasks to complete. It feels restrictive to me because in Future there are timed challenges at points, but the main meat of the game is like just an open world, like free roaming adventure thing, which is really fun to do, and it's just fun to get around because of the way the characters control and stuff, like I said. And that really carries through to a game that I'm playing right now, which is called Hover. It's a game that was kickstarted with the idea that it was a homage or successor to Jet Set Radio Future, specifically Future, because it really draws on the visual style of that game and does a take on it. It's not the exact same thing, and it's a different setting, like it's a space colony with aliens and stuff. But the idea of it and the look of it is very inspired by Future specifically, and to that end they even got Hideki Naganuma, who is the composer for the 2 Jet Set Radio games and is responsible for the audio direction, which is so beloved. They got him on board to do 2 tracks for the game. They contracted him for that, and they're the best tracks in the game. Everything else is maybe a little bit bland, or like it's good, but yeah, like Naganuma's stuff is the standout of the game, clearly. So I really would recommend Hover. It's really good. Excuse me. It's really like, I think my favorite thing about it is it takes that open world aspect from Future, and the idea that your character has like just a fun way of moving around. It just makes any kind of traversal a fun experience. And you don't have skates on in Hover, but you have basically super boots that let you run really fast and do huge jumps, and you can still grind and things like that, and wall run and on any surface. They even added a nice friendly rewind feature, so that if you miss a jump, which you often do, and there's some reasonably demanding platforming in it, you can always go back in time, go back to where you were. It's fantastic. So yeah, check out Hover if you ever liked Jet Set Radio in any of its forms, or if you just want a really cool open world sci-fi game with a really interesting and fun movement system. So yeah. Oh, hi Sabretooth. Good to see you. Sabretooth says, So, I don't know. They're reacting to the game. Yeah, I did pretty... What? I did not deserve a rank that high. Actually, no. I think the rank goes from bottom to top, so that was quite a low rank. Yeah, which, yes, deserved. Oh yeah, Gibbon says this game has a surprisingly robust animation set and for multiple characters. Yeah, totally. Clearly the characters have been sort of pre-rendered and made sprites of in that way, which is a cool style that I enjoy. But yeah, it's impressive, again, for the GBA to have a game that looks like this and looks this good. And yeah, there's a lot of different characters. So, let's see, which one unlocks first, Ben 10 or Kogane Cho? Let's go to Ben 10 first. No, we'll go Kogane first, actually. So what's this third type of level? Jet Crush. I've forgotten a lot about this game, to be honest. Let's go with, what's her name? Sugar. Is that really Sugar? Anyway. Oh, that looks odd. Is she wearing a bandana, or is just her hair colored weird? So when I originally played this game, there was a really crazy problem with it. Oh wow, that's cool. I just pulled off a little grind combo that I didn't know about. Anyway, when I first played this, there was an error with the way that the character sprites were displayed. They weren't colored right. Instead of looking like people, they looked like Technicolor vomit. All the pixels that made up their bodies were basically randomized in color, so they looked like kind of they'd been in an explosion at a confetti factory or something. I figured out eventually that was a problem with the emulator. If you didn't have the BIOS of the GBA installed in your emulator, then it would display them incorrectly like that. So I was actually doing some half-pipe stuff there, but I can't really... No, yeah, I'm bad at this. Anyway, I don't know who I'm supposed to be racing, but I think I've lost. Yep, so we'll try that again. Okay, so this guy, alright, we're gonna follow him. instead of just roaming around. He's going this way, but where? Oh, was that him? Gotta try and follow across this bridge. Yeah, the world is... I like the world building in these games, and a lot of it, at least in this one, is kind of based on real Tokyo locations. They really amp it up in the sequel and kind of make it really out there and almost surreal in some cases. Especially this level gets converted into the locations Rokakudai Heights and Kibogawaka Hill in future, which are really quite something to see. Kind of favela style slums piled up on top of each other. And I completely lost the noise tank guy that I was supposed to be following, so I don't know what I'm doing now. Noise tank? Is it noise tank? Oh, here he is. Hello. Hey, come back, buddy. Oh, he's down there. What is this? What? That's the sewers. He did that. He was behind that, wasn't he? Or maybe he... See, this is, yet again, the isometric perspective rearing its head. Yeah, there's a sewer area here, which is, again, expanded a lot on in the sequel. Yeah, I don't know about this chase mode, especially for that level. Why don't we just do a nice graffiti in Kogane, and, yeah, I'll have some fun. Who else can we be? Yeah, we didn't give Gum a good shot, so let's play some normal mode. Yeah. Climbing the stairs is hell, I tell ya. When you're used to skating around and grinding around, being forced to stop and take them one step at a time like that, it's a real punishment. But deserved, because you're only in that position if you made the mistakes, you know? Anyway, what was I saying? I guess I've been saying a lot of things. What I want to say next is that they might have, you know, Vicarious Visions might have gotten this contract on the basis of them doing all these Tony Hawk games, but they did a good job with making this still feel like Jet Set Radio. And they didn't actually stop there, because a few months after this they released another skating game, and it was called Disney's Extreme Skating Adventure, I think. Extreme Skate Adventure, which is pretty similar to this. Actually, you know, if this doesn't, you know, I might decide to throw that one on a bit later, but anyway, that's an interesting game too. It's the same style as this, you know, isometric, 3D skating kind of stuff, but it uses Disney characters, and it's based on a, you know, there was a console game released at the same time, and this was the GBA version of it. Yeah, but what's cool about that, which I appreciate about this game as well, is that it's got a theme, it's got a visual theme, it's got a stylistic theme, which makes it more interesting to me than a Tony Hawk game where it's sort of realistic environments and you're just a human person, doing the skating. I guess if you're into following the skating scene and the celebrity sort of sports people that are part of it. Oops. I hit a button on my controller that... Oops. Hold on a second. Why is it paused like this? Did it crash again? Oh no. Well, if I have this available to me, can I do this? No, I can't. I can't even load those states. Okay, so yeah, it's crashed. I don't... Like, I'm sure that I didn't get crashes like this while I was playing the game myself. Oh! Did I accidentally pause? Oh, I did! It didn't crash. I accidentally I activated an emulator feature that paused the game somehow, in a way that I do not understand, so sorry about that. you would have seen all those save states there. That's from when I was playing the game in my own time. Actually, I'll skip to the end level later on, because that's another part that's unique about this version of the game compared to the console version, is it has a different last level. Oh yeah, this little manhole thing, you can actually fall down here and end up in the sewers. Although deliberately falling down is apparently harder than I thought. Okay, just do a little walkie walk. Okay. Yeah, so here we are. I wonder if there's graffiti down here too. Oh, there is. Great. Oops. Okay. See, when you fall in the water, you actually end up at like a designated spawn point. You saw that before when I fell outside and I landed in the sort of pier location at the bottom. Well, you might have seen it. I don't know if I've done it yet. Oh, Gibbon actually misses this. He says that stuff like this and Grunty's Revenge, that's Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, the third Banjo game. Anyone asking for Banjo 3, it already happened twice. We had Nuts and Bolts and Grunty's Revenge. And now Ukulele. But yeah, he says it makes him sad that we don't get more 3D isometric platformers on the 3DS. Which is actually a pretty good point, because you like having that depth slider and having stereoscopic 3D might actually alleviate those problems I was talking about, where it can be hard to tell where things are in Z space, or Y space, I guess, the Y axis, in this perspective. Yeah, so that's a good point. Do you actually know if there were any at all? Did Lumo come out on the 3DS? That was an interesting little game. It was deliberately a homage to old sort of ZX Spectrum era isometric platformers of the type of Night Law and Rare games of that era. But I don't know if that came to 3DS. I got it on Vita recently, but I haven't played it yet. But it was on a lot of platforms. That could be one to look at, but I don't know of any actually now that you mention it. But yeah, without that 3D vision, like the depth perception problems really get to me with games like this. I don't know why nothing showed up from the blue arrow. I think that's a different kind of graffiti, but I don't know. In future, you actually have to paint in checkpoints on the ground sometimes, and they become a save point for you. Let's get out of the sewers though. The sewers are actually really boring. There's a reason there's a stigma about sewer levels in video games. They often end up pretty visually bland. To be fair, the sewer section in Hover is actually not bad. Wait. Okay, that was it. Yeah, Gibbon saying he hopes they make an actual 3DS successor, which I agree with, but from my perspective, it's because I enjoy the dual screen mode. But for Gibbon's point, he's saying that depth perception being a boon to platformers is a strength of the platform. So yeah, those are both things that are good features of the 3DS that are unfortunately dying away now that Nintendo's killing off the thing over time, slowly. Killing it slowly. Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, Gibbon's bringing out 3D platformers like the port of Rayman 2 and Mario 3D Land. But they're like fully 3D rendered, not isometric. And the other thing about isometric games is you have to have that fixed perspective. That's a sort of feature of them. And those other games are more dynamic. Whoops. Okay, so jumping on that girder then would take you somewhere maybe. There's a whole thing you can go to over here by jumping on these, but it's tricky to not fall in the water all the time. Gibbons says Mario and Luigi games. They actually do have a fixed camera perspective, so they're good. Like, they are RPGs, but they also have these 3D platforming like elements to them. I think I have to slow down a bit. Come on. This sucks. I don't want to go that way. Didn't want to do it anyway. Yeah. Fine. Yeah, there's nothing over there. Let's go back up into the town part. I like grinding off the rooftops and stuff. Steel Princess on the regular DS, so that wouldn't have the stereoscopic. I haven't heard of that one actually. Steel Princess with an A. But yeah, sprite-based. Games actually being sprite-based is a bit rarer on the 3DS, but not unheard of, absolutely. By any means. Okay, that's weird. Just seeing those level graphics drawn over there over a void, it's off-putting. Yeah, this game on 3DS would be quite good actually. I would appreciate that. But I think they'd be tempted to just port the real game to 3DS instead of this Game Boy Advance like version, which is a product of its time and the limitations of the platform. Funny story, when the HD re-release was announced and they said it was coming to smart devices as well, to iOS and Android, I got really excited because I thought, you know, given you know, the platform being less advanced, that they were going to be porting the GBA version of Jet Set Radio to the iOS, which is just a silly thing I thought for a while and then was disabused of that notion. Because they did get the whole thing on there. There were some cutbacks, I think. I think mostly they just cut out like a documentary video that they'd put on the console version for space saving reasons. And it was quite large in the end even then. But yeah, the fact that curiosities like these used to get made but they just don't anymore, that's part of why I really dig them. Like, they are curiosities and they're a lost art, you know, converting something to a lower spec platform. Because again, that's another reason that the death of the 3DS is such a loss. I'm thinking of even recent games like, say, Sonic Lost World, which was released on the Wii U, and that was a big Sonic Team release. It was the new main game from them. But they also released it on the 3DS, and that version is quite different, and it was made by Dimps, and you know, it's got the same concepts but different level design. And so you could have you know, a different experience and a more complete experience by playing both even. Oops, yeah, I was trying to grind that pole to get to that health if I could, but it's actually pretty tricky. Whoops, yeah, okay. Into the drink. Yeah, there's not a lot of them. There were still sprite-based games coming out on the 3DS, but maybe not not retail ones as much, I guess. It's to a lesser extent, but similar to when 3D graphics first actually started becoming viable, and 2D sprite graphics really fell by the wayside because they weren't fashionable. Nowadays, sprites are fashionable in their own way, but not in a mainstream way. I don't know. Maybe I'm overstating things, but yeah, that's what Gibbon's saying. Actually, you mentioned the Mario and Luigi games. They look 3D, but they are actually completely sprite-based. It's just that Alpha Dream, who are really experienced with 2D development, did really detailed sprites and animation sets for all the characters. So Mario and Luigi have many frames of animation and very well detailed and shaded or whatever sprite appearances, which often makes them appear 3D, whereas yeah, they didn't. Yeah, and the depth layering too. Yeah, that's right, Gibbon. The 3D yeah, depth stuff on the 3DS was done by hand by them. So yeah, it does. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, really cool stuff. Like, I still think that Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story remakes are kind of unnecessary, and that the originals are still like valid. I don't think that those 3 remakes are definitive in the way that they're supposed to be, and there's a few reasons behind that, but yeah, the graphics is an area, like, I lament that they've been sort of standardized into this style, especially for Superstar Saga, which was quite different to the other ones. But there's no denying that Alpha Dream are wizards with their sprites and made them look really beautiful, like you said. But if you just want that, like, Dream Team Bros and Paper Jam Bros already existed. But anyway. Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story are better games than them anyway, in general, probably. So, I don't know what I'm doing now. Trying to grind that fence. So we've got to kind of retrace your steps. You got here. And yeah, controlling your speed is kind of difficult in this game, because you start picking up speed when you do jumps off grinds like that. Oh! I'm just trying to get up there to get that graffiti soul, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. Anyway, it's fine. I didn't do anything. I didn't. Oh, this is actually a genuine crash again, which happened earlier. So the first crash was genuine. The second, the recent one was an accidental pause, but yeah, this is another crash, I think. Yeah, I'm pressing the rewind buttons and it's not helping. The music's still going, and I can rewind it and fast forward that, but my inputs aren't working, so I'm gonna reset again. We weren't doing well on that anyway. I got most of the graffitis, but I didn't know where the last couple were. Maybe back in the sewers again. But that's okay. We're not here to make progress today. I'm really just showing off the different levels, I guess. Oh, that's a weird feature in this game. The Sega scream that happens at the start there. If you kind of mash through the opening logos, apparently, it changes to a different iteration of the Sega screen. Which I did get to happen when I was setting up, but I couldn't. It hasn't seemed to happen this time. Anyway. Yes, okay. So, there must be another level set somewhere, right? Let's be Mew again, I like her. Whoops. Oh. not so. What did I do? It's like my save state button also pauses and I accidentally hit it. I don't have time to like deactivate it or anything. I seem to have crashed it again. That's really irritating. Alright, see if I can get the Sega screen for you at least. Okay. Jeez Louise. Yeah, you hear that? Okay. Good. Yeah. Jet Set Radio. Okay, what do we want to do now? No, not that. I was wondering if this was on a different level set. And I was gonna pick... Yeah, Mew. Yes. Damn horror freaks are really angry. They haven't seen a good slasher flick in months. Oh, it's the same one. Okay, that's fine. Ooh, yeah. Oh, I think Mew's probably one of my favorite characters. She's like, her outfit in the sequel is not as good. I think I like the sort of furry edges and the fact that it covers her up a lot more in this game. Okay, this is the same level. Oh, the map! I forgot all about the dang old map. Yeah, you pause and then you get the whole layout shown there. And it tells you where the graffiti points are. So, yeah, good for me. What I want to do is change the graffiti now. So, what do we got? Well, that says gum. You can just sort of make it out. It's been kind of crushed to heck. Tab. Oh, yeah, combo. It does say at the bottom. Yeah, Piranha. Yeah, that's her name. That Sugar is not her name. Piranha is her name. So why does it say... And that says Tab, but he's called Corn. Yeah, I think there was a miscommunication here. They've used some of the Japanese names, but they haven't changed the graffiti art from the international version. Piranha is the name of that dark-skinned character that I was just playing as before. Yeah, Garam and Mew. There you go, Mew. Not Biss. Yeah, this is crazy. I used this one for most of my playthrough last time, actually. You know, ironically, I like the look of the Golden Rhino one quite a bit, but they're the antagonist, basically. They're the bad guys. Let's go with the skull. Fear me. Muddy Waters. Yeah, I believe that some of the graffiti in the game was designed by actual graffiti artists that they contacted. And yeah, there's a wide variety. You unlock new designs by getting those graffiti souls. The original game, at least in the international release, had an online feature as well through the Dreamcast modem system where you could download new designs. And they added bonus ones to the HD re-release as well. I like the colourful ones, you know, which is why I was using this one for. Let's go with the Death's Head one, Grim Reaper. Cool. Yeah, good stuff. Alright. So we want to see more levels, so let's go to Bentenjaw, which we haven't seen yet. Mew actually comes from Bentenjaw, and I want to do a full level with her, I guess. So. Okay. Okay, cool. So this is a more city type, dense CBD kind of area. CBD, Central Business District. Is that an Australianism? I do not know. But it was converted into some of my favorite areas in future, like the skyscraper district in Faro Park and 99th Street. And of course from there, from the skyscraper district, you get to Sky Dinosaurian Square, which is a huge theme park where you ride roller coaster rails. You grind along them for just ages and ages. It's amazing. There's jumps, there's giant dinosaur statues that you can like traverse. That's such a great area of future. It's so cool. There's a small theme park area in Hover that's kind of, I guess, inspired by that. In that game you get these little like virtual pets and they like follow you around and give you different stats. But they're like, yeah, these cute little mascot characters. And there's an area with a giant whirly plane ride that you can like climb up to. And then you jump off it and there's giant balloons of these mascot characters that you then bounce off to get just insane height. And it's a really cool little set piece. But one that just kind of happens organically in the game, you know. So again, Hover, check it out. I was waiting for that to come out so long. Okay. Yeah. So let's see, what else can I say? Yeah, that blue one, it just doesn't show anything, it's weird. So, yeah, the music in this game, there's only 5 or 6 tracks, and like I said, they're really cut down from what they were in the original, but you can still sort of get a feel for the tone of the soundtrack. There's just a lot more variety in the console game. The conversion process was done by Shinnen Multimedia, who nowadays are probably best known for the Fast series, which is like a futuristic space racer, kind of an F-Zero style thing, I guess. The latest release was Fast RMX, I think, which was a sort of port of Fast Neo from the Wii U. I think I got that the right way around. But anyway, they're a German company that's, yeah, they've done a few games, but they've done hundreds, apparently, of games, of audio games, because they developed a set of audio drivers, and they often get contracted to make the soundtracks, or in this case, you know, convert an existing soundtrack to this GBA platform, which probably is a lot of what they do, I think, converting it from one to the other, yeah. Using their drivers for the audio hardware of the GBA system. Yeah. So you'll probably see their name crop up a lot if you're looking for it. And they've done a decent job. I mean, I wish there was a bit more length and a bit more variety, but you know, you take what you can get. It's well worth listening to the soundtrack on its own, even, I think. Even if you skip the ones that you don't get on with, but most of it is just fantastic. That's actually an interesting wrinkle for the HD version. You know, the HD re-release of the Dreamcast original. See, I'm actually skating in an alley between two buildings here, but it's kind of hard to tell. But the dithering lets you know you're behind that building. What does this say? Drag coffee? D-bag coffee? D-back? I don't know what that is. Drac coffee. Vampire coffee. Okay. I guess that's what it is. Yeah, I remember the news stories at the time of before the release of the HD port. Hang on. Okay, so this is the map, obviously. Oh wow. Yeah, there's actually a lot of areas to this map. Okay, that's cool. So we need to... This is the city area. I remember this. You get here it's actually pretty complicated to get here. Usually starting the train yard in the console game, but there should be a way to get through there, and then there's a sort of little square area. So I've got all the graffiti in this area, which is good. So if we go over this way, was it? Yeah. It looks like an alley over here. And yeah, I remember some of the scuttlebutt at the time of... Oh, okay. This is kind of a small area in this version. It's less confusing at least. I have a hunch that grinding those wires is the solution, but there might be a way over here. Yes, so the news story that was going around was that they got almost the complete soundtrack back for the HD release, except for one track, which was held up with licensing issues. Now, since then, I've read in various places that it's not one track, it could be 2 tracks or 3 tracks, but either way, yeah, there we go. So now I'm here, but I still need to get to the train yard, which might be below this area. I'm gonna do that first. If I jump off here, oh no, this is bad. Yeah, okay, so there's sort of invisible walls, so I can't jump off there. I think I remember these elevated walkways going over train tracks in the original version, but anyway. Looks like we've got some family restaurants to deface. Yeah, the original game had 3 soundtracks really, because there were additional tracks added and some removed whenever they ported to the different regions. So the Japanese version has some exclusive tracks, or at least one. They added some ones for the American version that they thought might appeal to the American audience. So I think that's where Rob Zombie comes into it. And there were a few that are exclusive to the EU version as well. Now, yeah, from what I read, like, they managed to get all 3 versions of the soundtrack and combine them for the HD release, with the exception of 1 or possibly 2 or 3 tracks. But, yeah. And if you try and look for the Jet Set Radio soundtrack on YouTube, you'll often just get either one version of the soundtrack or a rip of the CD release, which is incomplete because it's missing a lot of the licensed tracks that were pre-made and were sort of picked for the soundtrack by Naganuma. But at least you get all of his and Richard Jacques' original tracks for the game. Yeah, I really don't know what those blue arrows are because they're not showing anything when I do them. Sorry, I have to focus. Yeah. Yes, okay. Given to admiring the animation, yeah, it's really smooth. The rotations and angles especially. Oh, I remember doing that. That took me ages the first time I had to do it, and I might not have enough paint now. Hold on, I gotta focus. Not mess this up or I'll lose paint cans. Ah, I lost it. Please let me finish this. I did it! Cool, I don't have to do that crazy jump again. Now, what does that say? I'm trying to read this Japanese now. Biba? Biba Shiata. So it's a theater. The name is maybe Viva? But yeah, the animation is smooth, the rotations and angles especially. Are we sure this is sprites for the characters and not some sort of elaborate cel-shaded voxel engine? Well, that's interesting. I guess you would probably know better than me, to be honest. I it's a game dev, but I just assumed they were all pre-rendered sprites, but you know, there really are a lot of them. Yeah, what I thought was that they're just mimicking a cell shading effect with some sort of graphical filter, which is how all games do it, actually. Let's see, okay, just one more, and then we'll find the train station. But this is a cool area. I wanted to get up there and maybe do that spiral properly. But yeah, I don't know for sure, really. I guess you could compare it to the Tony Hawk games that Vicarious Visions did on the platform. And that might give you a clue. Because as far as I know, they're based on the same engine, although I don't really know what that means. You know? Yeah, non-game dev here. Hello. Yeah. Not so. But if we're talking cell shading and skating games, I mentioned last week that there were some other games that I was looking into that were related to this theme of extreme sports. Okay, I see what the thing is here. Like, grinding is a good way to get up these stairs, but then like controlling your speed once you're up here and then getting off so that you can land on here. There we go. So this is what this should look like. And it's pretty satisfying to pull this off. But I lucked onto it before, and then you jump off the end. And you're supposed to be required to do that. So yeah, cool stuff. Yeah, so I was talking about other games I could play for extreme sports stuff, and I have some fun things lined up for the future, but not in the immediate future. Next week I'm probably going to start with a couple of games that tie into Tony's Game Club pick, so sort of theme park related stuff, so I'll be doing that next time. But I do intend to return to the extreme sports theme after that. But anyway, some of the things I was thinking about were included games such as I still haven't been to the train part, but yeah, there's 4 separate areas in this map, so it's quite big. I remember this is the square that I was talking about, which is kind of based around there being a central pillar and then you doing jumps around the outside to get to it, so you're in an elevated position and then grinding out on lines to get to the rooftops around the edges. It's really an elaborate little set piece in here. Anyway, one of the things I considered doing was a game called Go-Go Hypergrind, which is a skateboarding game for the GameCube with character designs by Spunko of Ren and Stimpy fame. I've decided against it mostly on the basis of the game containing certain adult content, but it's still an interesting thing to exist. It really reminds me of Cell Damage, which was a similar kind of thing. The setup in both of them is that there's a bunch of cartoon characters of different styles and sort of different cartoon genres, and it's the kind of Roger Rabbit conceit where they're actors who are employed to be in cartoons, and the game is about them competing in a skating tournament in order to get a job on a cartoon or something. It's you know, it's a silly, flimsy premise, but appropriately enough. Whoopsie. Okay, yeah. That was a sick maneuver. All right. So here's that train area. I remember this being a pain to get to even on the console version. But yeah, we're going to get to this. Yeah, baby. Yeah, train tracks give you all sorts of possibilities for grinding, which is nice. That was another one. I thought there was only one on this one. Oh, that's right. I just remembered something about how this game works. The arrows are different colors, and only some of these graffiti spots are actually required to finish a graffiti-themed level. Yeah, so good to know now. I guess the other ones are just for points, because score chasing, you know. I was never into score chasing, I've talked about. Anyway, Go Hyper Grind. Yes, it's a pretty cool game, I guess. And it's about skateboarding, and there's like mechanics in it where you're supposed to like get yourself damaged and clobbered by various obstacles in the environment because you're a cartoon character, and like that's part of a cartoon character's raison d'etre is to get like horribly maimed but then be okay for comedy, you know. And that's a mechanic in the game, and it like is a way that you score points and tricks and stuff. So it's interesting. It's an interesting setup. But yes, the crude elements I think would preclude it from being appropriate for my family-friendly rating, which I give to all my streams. Yeah, what am I missing now exactly? Oh! So I managed to do the 2 optional graffitis in the train yard, apparently. So I need to get back there. I just really like that little square area. Okay, not much time left. Oop. Where is it? A bit further. This way. Coolio. Pedal, motor, engine, turbo, something, and then jet. That's the ranks. Cool. Wow. This is a good game. Now that I understand it. Like, when I first played it, I was just... had no idea what was going on. Cool. So, Ben 10 Boogie. Let's go back to Professor K. We're gonna burn Tokyo up. We got an explosive broadcast coming straight to you. We are Jet Set Radio. The noise tanks from Ben 10 Cho. They won't eat anything without additives and chemicals. No veggies or fruit for them. Word is, last month's big blackout was their work. Look out. I guess the only time you actually get other NPCs in these levels is when you do the race mode. But yeah, this looks like the same thing. So it's just in Shibuya-cho that there's a separate level for... Oh, okay, so they've actually cut part of it off. I'm stuck in this area for this challenge, I guess. Yeah, interesting. But if it's the same content we just saw, I'm not going to do it right now. What time is it? Okay. Oh man, I had so many notes. GBA version has a multiplayer mode. Boop, bop, boop, bop. Which is again another unique feature of this game through the link cable. There's actually a multiplayer mode in Future as well, which I never really tried to my recollection, or if I did, I didn't play it for very long because it's actually not that interesting compared to just playing the main game. I don't know what the multiplayer of this actually entails, to be honest. Oh yeah, the cops. Jeez, it's the fuzz. What else is there? Doop-a-doo. Okay, yeah, I'll talk about the fact that I love Jet Set Radio Future so much that it inspired me to seek out all the other related games I could. So when I really like something, like I might replay it from time to time, but I'm more likely, like, what I really like doing is playing new things, and even if they're not as good as the original thing that inspired it, then I'm still interested to track it down and check it out, which is why I'm playing the Game Boy Advance version of Jet Set Radio, really. But yeah, I started looking into any games that were related to Jet Set Radio. So over the last few years, sporadically here and there, I've been playing all these other games. And it really started with doing this Game Boy Advance version on my stream. Back when I was just starting out as a little baby streamer. Which I kind of still am in a way. But, yeah. So what else did I go and track down? I knew that there were a couple of Jet Set Radio characters in the Sonic and Sega All-Stars racing games. So there's two of those. The first one, I got it on PS3, and I also got the DS version because that has a lot of changes to track layouts and stuff, and also a few unique tracks that were made just for that version. For Transformed, the handheld version is much more similar to the console version, so I didn't separately check that out, but yeah, the DS version, and like a lot of the All-Star moves are different as well. But anyway, what I really love about the Jet Set Radio representation in the first All-Stars racing game is that it's heavily based on future as opposed to the original. So like I said, if there's any references or connections to the Jet Set Radio games, often you'll see that it's to the original game and the designs of the original, whereas I always liked future better, so it was really cool seeing tracks and Beat's costume in the first All-Stars Racing were taken from future. Yeah, I really like that. And Gum's not in that game, unfortunately, but she is in the sequel. She returns in the sequel, you could say, because preceding the first All-Stars Racing was actually Sega Superstars Tennis, which was made by the same team as Sumo. And yeah, so that's yeah, that was pretty interesting, I guess. It had a couple of Jet Set Radio tennis courts, which were fun to see. Oh, there's no graffiti up here this time. I didn't need to go all that way. Stop shooting me, man. Yeah, cool. Nitro and Jet. Ooh, we got to Nitro. Yeah. This is Tokyo's guerrilla music broadcaster, Jet Set Radio. Looks like the GGs hacked their way into Benton. Boy, the noise tanks must be mad up to their zeros and ones. Yes, cool stuff. I guess at this point I will load that save state where I'm on like the last level. This one. Oops, I just saved over it. Man, that's really actually annoying. Oh man, that's actually embarrassing. Yeah, I guess I haven't used this emulator in a long time. Load state, quick load. Ew boy. Okay, load state. So what else have we got? Is this one? Oh, this is a stage actually we didn't see just now, so I guess I'll play this a little bit. This is like the kind of junkyard-y area, so I'm playing as Garum. Yeah. Oh, it's connected to the other Kogane level that I was on before. But I believe this is the level where you eventually fight a helicopter. And you have to like get elevation enough up to get near it and then sort of spray graffiti on the window so that they can't see you anymore. But all the while they're shooting at you and shooting missiles and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Sonic and All-Stars Racing is great for future content, but the representation in the tennis game is all based on the original Jet Set Radio, including the character designs. Now it does have Beat and Gum as playable characters, so it's cool to see Gum there. Like I said, she's kind of the second most referenced kind of thing. Oh wow, we have like shock troopers with bloody wings flying through the air. That's crazy. So they did bring Gum back in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, and everything was back to Jet Set Radio mode as opposed to Future mode. But that's cool. It's still a fantastic game. It's actually got some of the tracks ported over from the first All-Stars Racing game. So that was really cool. What are we doing? Okay. So those ones high up on the wall are optional, it looks like, but I can do... Oh, where are they? Oh, maybe they're not. So, should be able to like wall grind this. Yeah, and then... Okay, so the red ones are the ones I have to do. Oh, I ran out of time. Okay. So, what are my other options here? Load states. Yeah, I feel so stupid saving over that one. What's this one? Jumping around. Jump around, jump around. Jump up, and get down. Okay, so we're back on the playground level. I used Garam for a lot of this, I recall. He must have good stats. Alright, so that's not good. Alright. If I load the state that I was on before and then quit to the menu, this will be in the state at which I've beaten the final boss. So can I return to that level? It doesn't look like it. I guess after you've beaten the story you can't go back there. Maybe. Or maybe not. Who knows? That's too bad. Oh well, it's not that interesting. Yeah, you're on top of skyscrapers, more or less, and there's a lot of grinding on rails between buildings, and you have to like go up to like, I don't know, it's like portals, and you spray them, and I don't know, it's weird. It's not the same kind of confrontation with the final antagonist the way it is in the original, so it's a bit less satisfying, but that's okay. Let's see. What's the time? Okay. Well, I feel like what level even was that? If I go... nuts. Wrong buttons. Hold on. Oh yeah. All those areas are accessible from here. I've just been farting around in this place so long I didn't get to it. Okay, I'm going to try and go there, and I think you need to go through the sewers to do it. Yes, okay. So, after I'd played those, like, what else could I play? I didn't say that. Tennis, Superstars Tennis, I bought both the Wii version and the PS3 version, but they're actually very similar. There's a couple of minor, like, cosmetic differences and just, like, really small things. But it's not really worth calling them different games. The DS one, however, is pretty different. So that's a significant enough difference in my mind. Yeah. So what else? I read today that there were some minor Jet Set Radio like nods in Yakuza, but it's really not enough to get me interested. There is actually an interesting article on it's sort of a where are they now on the developers of Jet Set Radio, and a lot of them moved on to Yakuza, and it talks about how they both have this sort of aim of replicating the spaces of real Japanese cities and the feel of them, and they're both doing it pretty well. And there's consistency with the developers, but like, that's not, yeah. Like, a lot of people like Yakuza, sure, but I really wish that they weren't doing that and that they were making more Jet Set Radio content, you know? That's my preference. Because I'm not interested in Yakuza at all. The things that I love about Jet Set Radio are not in there. You know, the style, the movement mechanics, like the music, all this stuff. Yeah, so there's a couple of nods in Yakuza apparently. There's a character in 7th Dragon 3 Code VFD, which is, I believe, on the 3DS. It's an RPG set in, like, future Japan. And one of the characters wears a Jet Set Radio Future shirt, specifically Future with the logo. And they're kind of... They're basically a character from that game, more or less. Except they didn't actually exist then, but they're what... It's like... This is... Sorry, I'm not explaining it very well, but they're the type of character that would appear in that game. So that was kind of cool. But again, I tried the demo of that, and like having that one character is not enough to get me to play the whole thing. Basically, it's an RPG. It's a very full-featured JRPG. All right, so this passageway was from the upper neighborhood area of this level, with the pipes, of course. Japanese playgrounds and pipes, like concrete or clay pipes. That's a feature. It's a real thing. It's interesting. I had to do research about that because of the Donkey Kong Jr. comic that I translated from the DK94 Wonder Life guide a while back, which Gibbon scanned for me. Thank you, Gibbon. Yeah. I was doing all that research, like, and finding that, like, the clay pipes are considered an iconic design feature related to Doraemon, but it's actually just something that happens all the time in real life too. Real life playgrounds, they have like leftover pipes that they put there as a feature for kids to play in. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I guess. Oh yeah, there is another official Jet Set Radio game that I'll never have a hope of playing, and it's called Typing Jet, and it was released on mobile phones in 2001, but just the year after the original game, and it's like a typing tutor but for a mobile phone. So, and with Japanese text input, you have to. It's from the 2 screenshots I saw. It's a side-on view of Beat skating along, and you have to input the right words to make him jump over obstacles and avoid stuff. So it's kind of like a typing of the dead type, you know, application of an IP to a different genre, in this case like an educational, like, typing tutor thing or something. I don't know, it's so weird because a traditional typing tutor would be teaching kids how to use a computer keyboard because that's a useful skill for professional life, whereas typing quickly on a mobile phone I don't think is traditionally considered a professional skill. It'd be seen as more a casual or a recreational kind of skill. So it's strange, but anyway, that exists and I'll never play it. The other thing that is really worth bringing up in regards to the Jet Set Radio series is Ollie King, which is a skateboarding game, but it has the same sense of style about Jet Set Radio. There's no concrete connections between the series, but it was developed by Smilebit, just like the Jet Set Radio games. The music was also done by Hideki Naganuma, so there's a whole, like, what is it, like, at least half a dozen tracks there in the same style as the Jet Set Radio games that are worth checking out if you're a fan of the music. But yeah, it was a whole physical setup where there's a skateboard machine attached to the machine that you're standing on and rocking back and forth to, like, skate, and it's a lot of downhill focused stuff to make it sort of easier and arcadey. And yeah, that's sort of been like a dream of mine to get to play that. So I'm gonna make an attempt. I'm gonna be traveling back to Japan this year, and I'll let you know because it'll interrupt the streams for 4 weeks. But while I'm there, I really hope to be able to find an Ollie King machine and play it. I'm trying to grind this crane here. Okay, go. Oh, nope. This is that isometric perspective thing again. I'm not really sure if that crane arm is pointing diagonally or straight out. It's really hard to tell. But I think if I... try jumping. That's a good trick. Nope. You can really only tell when you're being drawn in front of it or behind it. Ah, troublesome. Oh yeah, Gibbon says that the pipes are kind of the Japanese equivalent of putting giant tires in a playground. Yeah. Yeah, not dissimilar, yeah. Okay. Walk, 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 walk. I really don't get this. I don't think it really exists in physical space. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's 2 other related games. There was a slot machine that seems to just be called Jet Set Radio. 2005 in Japan. Yeah, like it's not even worth trying to play that because yeah, it's a slot machine. And the other one is Sega Heroes, which is a recently released match 3 combat mobile game on smart devices. And I have actually got really addicted to that, and I'm playing it a lot. So somebody stop me, help me. Yeah, it's a Sega crossover. It's got like Sonic, Phantasy Star, Jet Set Radio, Golden Axe, Streets of Rage, characters, all this stuff, and lots of characters, and it's fun to unlock them and power them up gradually by getting all these different premium currencies. It's great. It's fantastic. And yeah, most franchises have like 4 representatives, so for that, Beat is there and Gum, but they've also got Onishima, the cop captain from this game, and Professor K, who is like a legendary rank hero, and the only way to unlock him is to get the superior currency from the PvP store, and I never get any of it because I'm not high enough rank. So I'll never unlock Professor K, but that's okay. I have a team that uses Beat, Gum, and Onishima regularly, so that's fun. And yeah, it's a cool little game. Nice art style, big heads, and pretty fun little puppety animation to everyone. Nuts. You know what? Okay, so that's the end of those notes, I guess, and I've seemed to have played all the levels with the exception of the final one, so I am going to actually give a little go to that game I mentioned earlier. Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure, because I'm just curious about it, basically. So I'll launch that and I'll get that set up. Because I think I've sort of spent my what I can show off in Jet Set Radio. Alright, this should be working. Yes. Okay, that's what that should look like. Good. Yeah, so this is interesting story. Yeah, okay. So it's a bit like Sega, the pinball game on the GBA. I actually streamed that a while back, a fair while ago. There's 3 different themes. Yeah, so there's the Toy Story Land, which is actually one of the things I like about games. where you're a small character who's going around like an ordinary size thing, but everything's giant because they're toys. So I do like that. So I'll get that a little go. You've got a choice of Woody, Buzz, and Jessie. There's a Lion King area, where you place animals, which is a cool thing that I also enjoy. And you can pick between Simba and Nala. And there's a Tarzan land as well, which is actually based on the like DTV direct-to-video sequel or prequel to Tarzan, where Tarzan's a little boy. Although they don't show that in the poster here, strangely enough, but it is on the cover art. Let's start with Toy Story, I guess. And there's different tracks and areas. Now this, from what I've seen, it seems to be very much in the mold of the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, unlike Jet Set Radio, where you have a number of these objectives to look at, and it's very trick focused. You have all these options for doing different tricks when you jump and when you grind. You can do methods and stuff, but I guess that's natural for skateboarding as opposed to skating. But their version of Jet Set Radio really didn't do anything extra with the trick system. So can I interact with people at all? Okay. So Buzz is telling me to jump over the checkerboard. Go! Nice moves, cadet. And that's opened up another part of the level. Yeah, so like I said, I really enjoy when you're a tiny person who is interacting with everyday objects like they're gigantic, because they are compared to you. And I don't know, it's really kind of jarring seeing Toy Story characters doing this very un-Toy Story-like activity of skateboarding. It was probably even more jarring for the Lion King version, but I didn't really brush up on the controls of this, so I'm kind of winging it here, but yeah, there's reverts you can do, and I don't really know how to get more speed though. I'm trying to get up there to get to the new place, but yeah. Grind? Yeah, cool. Oh, that's fun. Oh, there's something I didn't talk about actually. You know, we have Hover now as a kind of successor to Jet Set Radio Future in a way. And it's really cool like that. But there have been attempts by studios to pitch Sega on a real sequel to Jet Set Radio, but they never come to fruition. There was a British company called Kuju Entertainment that around the time of the Wii, they made a pitch with concept art and everything for a sequel. You can see the concept art on Unseen 64, and it's pretty fantastic. How did I talk to these characters before? Okay, the R button is mostly the interact button. Whoa! Okay. And more recently, the Austin-based studio Dinosaur pitched Sega on a successor to Future called Evolution, and they had new character design concept art. They had a little pitch video showing what it could look like, and it seemed very similar to Future generally. And they presented it to them at GDC 2017, and they were knocked back by Sega. Nasty old Sega. 10 coins, okay buddy. Yeah. So, you know, it's fair enough, like, whatever. Sega just can do what they want, it's fine. But I would love to have a new Jet Set Radio game. And obviously there's people out there in the audience who would love it as well, and people in the development community who would love to make one, but so far it's not happening, which is too bad. You can see the concept art for that one too, actually. The pitch video is up on YouTube, the artwork is all on website of the artist. Dinosaur's a pretty small team though. They did actually help out, well they've helped out with a few things for like animation and rigging assistance and stuff for various games, including Super Lucky's Tale, which I think, Gibbon, have you tried that yet? I was sort of waiting for it to come to a platform that's not the X-Bone, but when it does, it looks pretty cool. It's like, is it VR or HoloLens or something? I don't know. It's odd. Anyway, that's enough of this one, I think. You gotta unlock the extra areas, I think, but what about if you go to games mode? Oh, okay. Trick challenge, I guess. Yeah, so pretty strange. Playing ass lions, skating on a little, gosh, what is that? A leaf? A bit of bark? It looks like a shield or a woomera or something. Like a woomera is a tool used by Indigenous Australians to throw spears, but I don't get this. Why can't I get this? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, there's no wheels on this thing because I'm a lion. Like, I didn't invent a skateboard. So that's why it's really strange. As well as seeing a non-humanoid character doing skateboarding. Why? I don't understand. Do I need to revert past it? Yeah, I do. Okay. But time's up. Well, I don't want to do the trick challenge. What's this one? The original Lucky's Tale, says Gibbon, is a VR headset game, but Super Lucky's Tale is a more robust thing that is released on a number of systems. Okay. Oh, well, actually, it was released on Xbone and Windows. Yeah, I recall that there was, I don't know if it was confirmed, but there was speculation at least that Microsoft had helped them with something, like they'd financed the game in some way, possibly. But I don't know if that's true. Either way, it was only on Microsoft platforms, but yes, it was announced for the Nintendo Switch in January, but it's not out yet. So this game, just from the look of it, it has a similar kind of, I would say, pre-rendered graphics style. What are we doing? Okay, Pride Rock. I saw some footage of people playing this game and showing that there were other levels. So after you do this, you can go to like the elephant graveyard, and there's lots of like you know, elephant rib cages that have turned into half pipes. So that's kind of silly. Some meat, huh? Is that what's Simba's mother's name? Sarabi! Yes, Scar does have that good name. Yes, I cannot wait to be king. Hey Nala, I bet you can't jump across that grassy strip there. What do you mean, dude? Whatever. Yes, Gibbon agrees that Simba on a skateboard is adorable. Pumbaa's lost, and you're just the one to help me find it. Ooh. Yeah, trick it. It's so strange. Yeah, it's just lions on a skateboard. It's crazy. How does something that big get lost in the first place? I can't find any juicy grubs to eat here. Maybe you can bring me some, please. You know, I used to think I was good at voices, but and yeah, Gibbon says that you can't convince me that's not real-time rendered animation with a voxel shader on it. It very well could be. This is why I wanted to play a different game that maybe didn't have quite the same graphical style. Although, in fact, it's actually quite similar, since they're replicating a cartoon in this case. Grubs, grubs, grubs. And what does Rafiki want? Or Zazu. And talk to Rowan Atkinson? Or John Oliver in the photoreal remake? My scrolls are blown away in the wind. Will you collect them all quickly? Scrolls, huh? So lions... So animals have paper now, apparently. I should be grinding more. Grind! Yeah! Woo! Oops. Yes, of course, that's the risk with doing tricks. You could screw them up. Whoa, that's cool. Well done. I'd hate to face Mufasa without my notes. See the path and skate close to the wildebeest to scare them off before their stampede. Where am I scaring them to? See the path? Oh, this is the path. Is that right? Hey. See, this is a cool thing. Having different kinds of objectives in the level. I like that. Yeah, I mean, whatever they're using for the graphics, the end result looks really cool. In both cases. But anyway. I think I'll finish at this point. Oh, we didn't see Tarzan. I guess I'll check out Tarzan. Yeah, this will be Turk. Voiced by Oprah Winfrey, am I right? No, that's not right. That can't be right. Oh, what are we riding this time? It's another kind of leaf or something. Maybe it's a frying pan? I don't know. No skateboards in the jungle. Peanuts, huh? Woo! Yeah. Sick. Tricks. Yeah. So the jungle setting, not dissimilar to the Lion King. I think they're maybe a little too close to be in the same game. Not as much variety, maybe. I don't know. Oh, it's Jane. Hello. It'd be lovely of you to bring me some flowers. Ooh, sweet. Wait, is that Jane? That can't be Jane. I got the Jane letters, but like, this is a prequel. This is set before Tarzan. I haven't seen the prequels. Haven't seen the Tarzan prequels, those heavily publicized movies. Really, the only direct-to-video sequel I've seen is Lion King 2, and that's amazing. That's really good. Skateboarding games. Well, I'm locked out of a lot of areas, so it's only so many places I can go. But I think I'm getting to the end of my rope here, so I think we'll finish there. Thank you very much for joining me. I had a lot of fun today revisiting Jet Set Radio there. I'm really sorry that I screwed up and couldn't show you the final boss, but that's okay. I'm sure it's on YouTube elsewhere if you really want to know. Here's your flowers, lady. But yeah, it's a great game. Vicarious Visions did a good job with that port, so well done to them. And yeah, everyone go check out Hover. Yeah, so that's it. Next week I'll be playing a theme park game, like I said. I've committed to it, so that's what I'm doing. But after that there'll be more extreme sports nonsense, I'm sure. So I'll catch you then. Bye. Thanks for joining me. Oh, apparently I can just do this indefinitely. Oh no, gotta keep my balance. I was sliding off. Points are racking up. Yeah. Oh, never mind. Okay, bye.